If you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you're sure to have seen our 4-part short film series on Henke Agricultural Contractors. Over the course of a season, we have shown you their key services, but haven't covered the grain harvest until now. In Part 5, we will introduce you to what is now Henke Agricultural Contractors' longest running service. Henke Agricultural Contractors are based in Wagenfeld-Struhen in the German state of Lower Saxony. They have been serving both agricultural and commercial customers and employing locals in this region for over 50 years. Their fleet currently comprises 25 tractors, along with numerous attachments and specialist machines. Looking at the grain harvest gives us a good impression of the roots of this agricultural contracting business. They bought their first combine when they started the business in the early 70s and have gradually added more and more machinery to the fleet. Since then, the demand for outsourced grain harvesting services from Henke has continued to increase, but the actual harvesting window is now much shorter. This is because the main crops in this region, besides canola, are rye and triticale, which all ripen around the same time. Breakdowns are extremely irritating during such a short season, so servicing the machinery every morning is a top priority for the team. This involves blowing off the harvesters, greasing them, and carrying out minor repair jobs. Fueling up at the pumps in the yard is also part of the morning routine. Although the grain harvest doesn't drain the 50,000-litre diesel tank as quickly as the maize harvest. One thing you always notice when you visit Henke Agricultural Contractors is that the employees are always happily wearing the uniform supplied by the business. The clothes are all on loan from a company that also launders them. Henke started providing its employees with uniforms back in the 80s. The harvesting team is incredibly diverse and is made up of agricultural contracting apprentices and long-standing employees. One thing that they have in common is their love of combining. Team breakfasts have become somewhat of a tradition during harvesting. Jörn Henke uses this time to assign jobs. As a general rule, each driver has one machine that they tend to drive. From a commercial point of view, combining helps to fill a gap in the summer schedule for this agricultural contractor. During the 2022 grain harvest, Henke Agricultural Contractors had a total of 11 combines in operation. It's quite amazing watching them set off from the yard. First up, we followed the Claas 570 TerraTrack. This combine was built in 2008 and has covered the most hectares out of all the others in the fleet. That's because they also use it to harvest grain maize, as you'll have seen in Part 4. In addition, the combine has also completed several harvests for an arable farm in eastern Germany. Henke Agricultural Contractors send 2 combines to that farm every summer. On the contractors' home turf, the farms that they work on all have an acreage of between 15 and 200 hectares, with each customer farming an average of 60 hectares. Which combine goes to which farm often depends on past experience. If the farm has narrow access routes or requires frequent field changes, they send a foldable header. On larger fields, like the ones on this farm, they also take the grain cart along. Earlier in the series, we introduced you to Jörn Henke and his family. His daughter Alina has recently completed her diploma in agricultural contracting and now works in the business, mostly preparing jobs and scheduling. During the grain harvest, everyone works together. Customers are telephoned in advance. Then, the evening before the team is due to start on the farm, they speak to the customer again to discuss the machinery availability and harvesting conditions. Straw harvesting is done alongside grain harvesting. 80% of the straw produced by Henke's customers is baled. Henke usually has several balers on the go, both square and round. Here the Kuhn Combi baler is being pulled by a Valtra T-Series. This tractor has been part of the fleet for 2 years and is typically used to pull the round balers. The round bales normally have a diameter of 1.6 meters. The advantage of the Kuhn baler is that the driver can always drop 2 bales in a row, which makes it easier to gather them up later. But according to Henke, farmers are definitely tending to make more 90cm square bales these days because they're calculated by a ton of straw like round bales, but are easier to handle. The T-Series is the only Valtra in Henke's fleet for now. But this may all change soon, because they were given the exclusive opportunity to test drive one of the first Q-Series tractors in the summer of 2022. We made a test drive video about the new Valtra Q-Series a while back. These 230 to 305 horsepower continuously variable tractors represent the Finnish manufacturer's attempt to target the agricultural contracting segment and others. Using them to pull the square baler saps all their strength, and the requirement in terms of daily performance are huge. A combination like this will produce up to 500 bales per day on these types of fields. Compared to combining, the window for baling is even shorter, because as soon as the sun goes down at night, the dew seeps into the rows. As well as testing the Q-Series with the baler, the team also tried it out with a slurry tanker and a compact disc harrow. It has the same tried and tested Smart Touch operating system as the T-Series. We're excited to see whether Henke decided to add a Q-Series to their fleet next year. They also test drove this Fendt Ideal 7T during the 2022 harvest. It's the smallest combine in the Ideal range, and they plan to use it with an 8-row Geringhof header for combining grain maize. As mentioned earlier, the grain harvest is over and done with in a flash. On average, they only have 12 days per season for combining, with the newer harvesters stretching it to 20 days and a maximum of 300 hectares of land harvested when conditions allow. To ensure they earn their money back on the machines, they run them for a long time. The oldest Lexion in the fleet was built in 1998. "60% of the straw they harvest is chopped. They have a pre-chop chopping unit mounted in front of the pickup reel for this purpose. It defibrates the straw, which is good for bedding and reduces dust formation further down the line. The front-mounted chopping unit demands an additional 80 horsepower from the tractor. At twilight, we filmed Henke's most powerful combine working in the canola field. The New Holland CR880 was acquired in 2021 and is used for harvesting with a 9-meter wide header. The 2022 grain harvest produced average yields for Henke's customers. Barley and canola were the best performing crops, with yields of 7.5 and 4.5 tonnes per hectare, respectively. For more information about Henke Agricultural Contractors, why not watch the other 4 short films in this series that we created for our YouTube channel? You'll find the links below this video. You'll also find a link to our exclusive test drive of the Valtra Q series.